Hello everybody on YouTube, this is Super Nintendo and welcome back to another episode of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. In the last episode I showcased the Chow World and most of what you can do in it. I didn't showcase everything because I myself haven't experienced everything. But this time I may have been a naughty little boy and cheated to get all A ranks on things. Not even on everything, as you can see from levels like this and this. Not even on everything. Just, yeah, I have a action replay that I have on my GameCube just for fun. And I used it to kind of get access to the 100% final reward. Why did I do this? Because I'm not going to 100% this game and I do not care. I just wanted to showcase the 100% reward. So, let's dive into that. Yeah, a fully 3D recreation of Green Hill Zone. So, this game was Sega's 10-year anniversary celebration thing. This game was meant to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. And for that anniversary, we got a fully 3D recreated Green Hill Zone. Complete with all the same bagnicks and all the same level design in the same locations. This is so freaking cool. It's a little, janky, to say the least, because the game design was a little weird, but it's so cool. And this is also the only time you actually see the badniks in this game. The camera is also a little unwieldy at times. Can I actually see where the fuck I'm supposed to be going, game? Yeah, it is so freaking cool that they did this. And this was way back in the day before they actually ran Green Hill Zone into the ground. Yes. Green Hill Zone used to actually be a cool stage before Generations came along. Like, it is such a cool thing that they recreated this stage. It is so freaking cool. So, now that I've showcased that, I kind of want to talk about the story of this game in a bit more depth. Namely, kind of talking about Shadow the Hedgehog. Because Shadow is at the crux of this game. Shadow is the crux of this game, and it's something that I really want to talk about because it's something that I feel like a lot of people don't really fully understand when they play through these games. When there have been many people who have misinterpreted Shadow's story, and I just kind of want to lay the record straight, essentially. Kind of talking about Shadow's history within this game, because later games kind of complicate his story. But Shadow, as you saw in one of the previous episodes, he died. He was intended to die. He was not supposed to come back. He came back in Sonic Heroes due to fan outcry because Shadow was very popular. So, for the purposes of talking about this, we are going to be ignoring all future games. Only talking about this one. Shadow was created after the event on the Ark. This is outright stated by Professor Gerald. Shadow was not created on the Ark. He did not know Maria. He did not grow up on the Ark or anything. These are false memories placed into Shadow by Professor Gerald to give him motivation to get revenge on everyone on Earth. And this is part of why I feel like Shadow's character is so tragic, because he's not just haunted by memories of things that are just horrific in general, that are very devastating for anyone to go through. He's haunted by memories that never even fucking happened, that he was never there for. And this, like, people want, I've heard people that I've said this to say that this doesn't make any sense. No, it makes perfect sense within this game. It's later games that fuck this up. So, what is my evidence for this, beyond just Professor Gerald saying it in the final story? Gunn doesn't know what Shadow is. They don't know what he looks like. They don't know anything about him. Why would they know what he is? Why wouldn't they know what he is if he was created on the Ark? If this is the thing that they were trying to create, if this is the thing that Professor Gerald was leading up to. Shadow is a mystery. He's a mystery to Gunn. He's a mystery to everyone involved. Rouge's whole fucking story in this, outside of the stuff with Knuckles, is that she is a spy trying to figure out if Shadow really is the ultimate life form or not. And her research on the Ark concluded that Shadow is not the ultimate life form. If he was created on the Ark, there would be records of him. There's records of the bio-lizard there. There is records of the prototype.
Here are the results.
There's no record of him.
Project called the ultimate life form.
Why would there not? Why would there not be any records of Shadow on the Ark if the bio-lizard records are still there? Because, like, you could probably say, like, oh, well, maybe those records were deleted. Maybe those records were redacted. If those records were deleted, if they were redacted, why would the bio-lizard's records still be there? Why would Gunn send Rouge to figure out if Shadow really is the ultimate life form or not? If they knew what Shadow is. They didn't know. Because Shadow wasn't created on the Ark. He is a complete unknown. Professor Gerald, in the final story, literally says that after the death of Maria, he began working on something else to take revenge on everyone who took everything away from him. He was consumed with revenge and nothing else. He could no longer control his thoughts. He most likely probably imprinted his own mind onto Shadow, if anything. Because Shadow, the way that Professor Gerald describes himself, the way he describes his inability to control his own thoughts and whatnot, kind of describes Shadow in this game too. He's unable to control his own thoughts. He's unable to think of anything other than revenge. And at the end of Professor Gerald's little monologue in the final story, he says, If you wish to fill the world with death and destruction, release and awaken my creation to the world.
Shadow from the base.
And that's exactly what Eggman did. He unleashed Shadow into the world, not knowing anything about Shadow. There was no record of him. They didn't even know what Shadow looked like. Which is why they hunted down Sonic in particular, because all they knew is that there's this hedgehog-shaped thing that escaped from Gun that was very fast and very strong. So they hunted down the two things that fit that description, Sonic and Shadow, and they couldn't capture either one of them. They were moving too fast. And so, like, this doesn't even come out of nowhere either. Rouge literally confronts Shadow in the final story, or in the final moments of the Darkseid story, saying, like, you are not the real ultimate life form. You are not the ultimate life form. Even your memories are not real. This is why Shadow is such a tragic character, because he was never on the Ark. He never knew Maria. He is haunted by her death, and he wasn't even there for it. Later games fuck this up majorly by trying to add a lot more to Shadow's backstory. And they fuck it up to a point where it is just incoherent the entire way. The Shadow the Hedgehog game introduces us to Abraham Tower, the one of the highest ranking people in Gun. He might even be the guy in charge, I'm not sure. He apparently was on the Ark. He witnessed Shadow being created, and he blames Shadow for Maria's death. For the death of his family, too. The English dub kind of fucks this up by saying that, like, his family was already dead. He was on the Ark as an orphan or whatever. And Maria was the only family he knew, so when she died, he had no one. This is a mistranslation from the Japanese version. His parents were on the Ark. They were helping out with Project Shadow and the Eclipse Cannon and stuff like that. But Maria was like his best friend, essentially. Like, they were so close that they were practically siblings. So when Gun went onto the Ark that day and killed Maria, they also killed a shit ton of the researchers, too, which also killed Abraham Tower's parents. Rather than blame Gun for this, he blames Shadow somehow, which just creates all kind of confusion as to if he has such a strong vendetta against Shadow, why the fuck was Gun after Sonic? It does not make any fucking sense at all. He knows what Shadow looks like. He was there for his creation. Why does he go after Sonic? This is never explained. And Shadow the Hedgehog further complicates things by saying that Shadow is also part of this alien race called the Black Arms, specifically getting some of his DNA from Black Doom. And this DNA apparently, like, was the key to Shadow being born. And Shadow, like, Professor Gerald created the Ark essentially to, like, stop the Black Arms, and that's why the Eclipse Cannon exists. When, from what I understand, the Eclipse Cannon, I don't know why the Eclipse Cannon even exists in Sonic Adventure 2. They never really go into it. But, like, one could possibly argue that he created this thing to try to get revenge on everyone on Earth, because the core of the Eclipse Cannon was, that's the key that caused the thing to overload and go to Earth. So, yeah, that's another thing I kind of want to talk about, I'm sorry I'm jumping around here a little bit, but, if people are under the assumption that when Gun killed Maria and everyone else on the Ark, that this is when they took custody of Professor Gerald.
This my grandfather's legacy?
No.
It's been deactivated.
No, it's not. This literally said by Professor Gerald that this isn't the case. But, like, if he was the one who, if that is how things went down, one, how the fuck did he reprogram the Ark to plunge the way it did? How did he build the Eclipse Cannon, which in Sonic Adventure 2 has no reason to exist otherwise? And all this shit, like, it does not make any sense with that interpretation that Gun captured Professor Gerald as soon as they, like, came on there and, like, killed Maria and all that other shit.
Once you have that,
like, it does not make any sense.
The ultimate power of destruction to use as you please. And
unfortunately, this rewriting of Shadow's history, like, the Shadow the Hedgehog game kind of has a couple of levels where Shadow is running around the Ark with Maria, and people have interpreted this as these are literal memories of Shadow. You were running around the Ark with Maria, which doesn't make sense for a variety of reasons, one of them being that the Black Arms are attacking the people on the station, which they have no reason to do, because they're trying to pretend to be Professor Gerald's allies, because they made a deal with Professor Gerald, and that's why all this other shit, like, it does not make sense. Additionally, it's shown in one of these, at least, that Maria turns into Doom's Eye, Black Doom's Eye, who is the main antagonist of Shadow the Hedgehog, the game, and he's the main antagonist. He is shown to have the ability to mess with Shadow's mind and memories and stuff like that. So it's a little hard for me to take his word on anything. In fact, this ability continues on into Shadow Generations, where he is literally trying to take over Shadow's body throughout that entire game, and has been messing with his dreams and memories and stuff like that. So it doesn't make sense why anyone is trusting him on any of this shit. So that was more or less the way that I was trying to kind of rationalize it in my head, that Doom was fucking with Shadow's memories. What Doom was saying wasn't true. Abraham Tower, maybe he is so angry that he just blames Project Shadow for what was going on, because we know for a fact that Project Shadow was being worked on the Ark. Just Shadow the Hedgehog himself wasn't on the Ark. So maybe by virtue of Project Shadow being building up to Shadow, presumably by Professor Gerald, that he blames Maria's death on Project Shadow, and by vicariously to Shadow the Hedgehog and stuff like that, because he seems to have an irrational hatred of Shadow.
It's not true.
Even Sonic Battle kind of leans into this too, with Professor Gerald literally saying he did not finish Project Shadow, he did not create Shadow until after the event on the Ark.
I know you're having a hard time
So, like, anytime we get information directly from Professor Gerald himself, he says that Shadow wasn't created until after the event on the Ark. Until Shadow Generations, in which case all that stuff that they've been building up for years is thrown out the window. Shadow was created on the Ark. He apparently was there for years, learning alongside Maria. She's the one who developed his air shoes. She's the one who named him, apparently, and all this other crap. Like, they really fucked up Shadow's history. And don't get me wrong, I love Shadow Generations. I think they did brilliantly with what they did with Shadow's history, but it is contradictory to what is directly said in Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow was not created on the Ark. He was created after the event that killed Maria. This is outright shown, outright stated, and all this other crap in the game. And this is why I find it to be so dark and whatnot with his backstory. The story of this game in particular makes less and less sense the more they try to add on to it in later games. And to be perfectly honest, I don't like that Shadow in later games is revealed to be the same Shadow. For those who don't know, in Sonic Heroes and in Shadow the Hedgehog, there was this mystery on whether or not Shadow was the real Shadow. There was a cloning and android subplot in both of those games that hinted that maybe Shadow is an android. And I've always felt that they should have actually said that the real Shadow died, and this was a copy that we were dealing with from then on. And this would probably explain a lot of his different characterization and stuff like that. I feel like it ultimately would be better, because you could still have Shadow the Hedgehog, but he's not the original. The original died. And now we are dealing with his copy. Someone who maybe wants to be better than the original. One who maybe wants to be the ultimate life form. And maybe this Shadow, for whatever reason, maybe his DNA was altered because of Super Shadow, so maybe this one inherently has like powers of Super Shadow, which could possibly explain why this Shadow has a much easier time maintaining the super form as opposed to the original, or whatever, but I don't know. But that is what we got. It is unfortunate, but within this particular game, Shadow was created after the event on the Ark. It is what is stated. It's what's indicated throughout the entire story. I don't know what to say. And it makes the most sense, too. It even adds into why they were after Sonic, too, because as far as Gunn is aware, they don't know anything about Shadow other than he's a super fast and powerful hedgehog. And Sonic has already been able to, transform before, looking very similar to Shadow in many respects, so that's why they went after Sonic. But, yeah. I don't know what else to say here. Like,
sorry, but Shadow needed some help saving the world.
I don't know what else to say here. I kind of talked about a lot of this in my Let's Ramble on the same subject, but there was some other stuff that I wanted to talk about in this sort of video. But, yeah. That will do it for this episode. Next time on Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, we are going to showcase the multiplayer mode. And I'm going to have a special guest join me for that, whenever I can actually get her to show up. So, Until then, I've been Super Nintendo, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.
Life was taken from me long ago.
I need to focus on the mission at hand. A threat lurks aboard the Ark, and I must eliminate it.
A cylinder sinking square window!